Good morning, everyone, and welcome to MENEFESTO 2022. My name is Andin, and I'm here with my partner,
DJ,
as a Master of Ceremony on behalf of
MENEFESTO 2022, Future Earth Representative, Think Sustainable, Act Responsible.
We are very pleased to welcome all of you on today's webinar, Be Responsible Toward Household Waste.
Okay, Dean. Before we continue our agenda, we would like to express our gratitude towards of our sponsor for today's event. There are Array, Teachcast, PT Imura Motor, Frost, PT Indomobil, Astra Credit Companies, PT PM13, Ali Joy Coffee, Sagomi, PT Alkindo Naratama Tbk, PT Eco Paper Indonesia, PT Alpha Polymer Indonesia,
Melaju, Pramita Lab, Profit Golf, Buih Kopi Mekarwangi, Istana Indah, CV Jaya Indo Mandiri, Honda IBRM, CV Gendis Anugrah Abadi, CV Sukses Group, Faith Factor Clothing Store, Narakupu Village, PMP Dewi, Asto, PT Gunung Sugi, CV Sampurna Tex, PT Indo Semen Tunggal Prokarsa Tbk. Hi Frozaholics, what kind of candy that makes you cool? The answer is Frost Candy. Whatever your moment, always dibikin cool aja with Frost.
Okay, and also thank you to our media partner, Yacht Bekasi, info.event Jogja, info_event_Jogja, Ardan FM, 45 Radio UPN Veteran Jakarta, Radio Untar, Radio Atmajaya, Yachts, Aceh Pro, BEM FEB USK, BEM FT Unri, Explore Siak, Yacht Bengkulu, Unip Story, Yacht Medan, Sumut Pro, Sumbar Pro, Batam Event, Bangka Pos, BEM FTIK Teknorat, Event BDL, Event Corner Bali, Yacht Bali, Himan FE UPB, Event Pontianak Underscores, BEM FEB Unram, Banjarmasin Pos, BEM FEB Unmul, BEM FKM UEGM, Unhas Info, Yacht Makassar, Halwelo, Informasi, Halma Heranesia, Gopos.id, PKU Info, BEM FEB Unmus, HMPS AKASU Inreal,
Event Mana MDN, Kota Raja TV, Komunitas Jogja, seputar Banjarbaru, BMKM FE Unsri, Curup Kito, Wonderful Bengkulu, BMKM FE UNY, Natuna Bekawan, Ekspor Ternate, Kendari Update, HMP IKM Unja, Kendari Info, About Jatim, jatimevent.id, Zona Tulung Agung, Event Kediri, Event Mahasiswa Surabaya, BEM ITS, Tegal Learning Center, sr.uns, im.banten, Hima AP Untirta, Kupang.now, Kendari Event, seputar NTT, masuk UPR, Jogja punya acara, HMJEP UPR, event.Trenggalek, event.Situbondo, event.Milenial, event.Jawa Tengah, event.Bondowoso, Komunitas Jogja, PPI Taiwan, and Gatra. That's all our media partner that supporting our webinar. All right, first of all, we would like to express our gratitude to Mr. Chris Petra as the moderator of today's webinar, also Mrs. Eva Bahtiar as the founder and CEO of Garda Pangan.
and all respectable audience of today's webinar. Okay, Dean, let's just open the webinar today. Assalamualaikum, best wishes to all of us. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Before starting the webinar event today, let's begin with a prayer. I will lead the prayer in Muslim manner. For attendees who have different religion, please pray according to your beliefs. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Robi jikni ilman warjukni fahman. May Allah give us more knowledge and make us understand. Amin. Next, for all participants, please turn on your camera and please sit respectfully to sing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and the Unpar hymn.
Okay, next we're gonna show you guys a profile video from Parahyangan Catholic University.
Welcome to Parahyangan Catholic University, where knowledge and experience are sought, and great ideas are highly valued. This is the place where traditions are nurtured and history is made. Located in the mountains of North Bandung, UNPAR strives for advancement and innovation in 16 fields of study, namely economics, management, accounting, law, public administration, business administration, international relations, civil engineering, architecture, philosophy, industrial engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering in mechatronics, mathematics, physics, informatics. UNPAR provides an accommodative learning environment that creates outstanding graduates who are responsive to current opportunities and challenges. This is the campus where all dreams are inspired and passions are pursued. Through a continuous desire for excellence, achievements after achievements are made possible. UNPAR is a place where diversity is respected and community is built. Divinity, truth, and integrity have become the foundations of our academic culture. With various extracurricular and campus activities, UNPAR has been able to provide a comprehensive education while building the essential virtues of thriving in the present and preparing for the future. With decades of experience and solid foundations, from generation to generation, UNPAR has been recognized at national, regional, and international levels. We proudly acknowledge our professors for their expertise and our staff for their dedication to service. We heartily embrace the trends in digital transformations by adapting to current and future needs and challenges in the context of education. UNPAR believes in developing local potential on the international level. Thus, internationalization is an essential part of our commitment to provide our students and staffs with the needed exposure. This commitment is supported by high-quality facilities and infrastructure throughout the campus. Our efforts towards the future are guided by the spirit of Bakunihyang Ri Guna Sunchaya Bhakti, understood as based on the belief in God, the advancement of knowledge and devotion to the community. Compassion and humanity have become the center of our academic endeavors, which are ultimately dedicated to society. Welcome to Parahyangan Catholic University, the answer to the future. We begin here and now.
Yes, it's from our profile, Parahyangan Catholic University.
Okay, once again, we want to thank our sponsor, PT Indomobil. Hi, it's near the end of the year, and there's more hype with electric and economical cars. This is perfect for those of you who want to change cars. What even scholar is that Indomobil, as a leading automotive brand company in Indonesia, has a superior product, namely an electric car without a charge. Nissan Kicks e-Power, fun SUV, forget the ordinary, like the extra. Ali Joy, joy with your family, joy with your best friends, enjoy yourself in Ali Joy Coffee, providing joy for you.
Okay, before we start this webinar, now there will be a welcoming speech from Mr. Ignatius Bryan as the head of MENEFESTO 2022. To Mr. Ignatius Bryan, the screen is yours.
Hello, MC. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. And welcome to all attendees of the Be Responsible Towards Household Waste webinar today. First of all, I would like to express my deepest gratitude as the head of the MENEFESTO 2022 event to all the attendees and lecturers who came to this webinar, speakers. This is Eva Bahtiar as the founder and co-founder Garda Pangan, and the moderators, Mr. Chris Petra, who are willing to take their time to attend and provide material for this webinar, and the organizer who have been involved and prepared this webinar very well. The title of this webinar is taken from Manifesto title, namely Future Earth Representative, Think Sustainable, Act Responsible. This title originally inspired by 12 Sustainable Development Goals, namely responsible consumption and production. In this era, irresponsible consumption is often found on a daily basis, especially in the household. In fact, this is kind of lifestyle has very negative impact without even realizing it is very dangerous. The waste from irresponsible household consumption is caused by the lack of the knowledge and awareness of the household actors. However, we cannot blame each other for the negative impact that already happened. It's our responsibility to keep our earth clean, and together we could fix the negative impact and make the earth a better place with our responsibility. I hope that through this webinar, we can all gain knowledge that is not only being heard today, but also be applied and implemented in daily life. Remember, that we should take action to overcome this matter not only to help ourselves, but also to protect the earth, our environment, and our future. Enjoy this webinar. God bless. Back to you, MC. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Ignatius Bryan for the welcoming speech. And the last welcoming speech by Ms. Shannon Malena Santoso as the Chief Executive of MENEFESTO 2022. The screen is yours.
Hello, good morning everyone, and welcome to all attendees of the Be Responsible Toward Household Waste webinar. I'm Shannon Malena Santoso as the Chief Executive of MENEFESTO 2022. And first of all, I would like to thank God Almighty who gave us blessing until this day so this event was organized well. And I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all lecturers, attendees, speaker, Ms. Eva Bakhtiar, and our moderator, Mr. Chris Petra, for being able to join this webinar. And I would like to thank you all the hard work of all the committee, the MENEFESTO committee. MENEFESTO is an annual event from management major of Parayangan Catholic University, which has the theme Sustainable Development Goals. The main focus of the MENEFESTO 2022 agenda is the 12 SDG, namely responsible consumption and production. We really hope that from this event, MENEFESTO 2022, we can be a future Earth representative that can carry out a responsible lifestyle by being more responsible toward consumption and production. Once again, I would like to welcome all the attendees to MENEFESTO 2022, and please enjoy. Thank you. Back to MC.
Thank you to Ms. Shannon Malena for the welcoming speech. All right, guys, we'll start this webinar right away. But Before we'll start, let's take a look at some rules that we have to follow during this webinar.
That's right, Dean. We hope that through this webinar, we can achieve the goals together. Now, please allow me to read today's webinar regulations. First, all participants are expected to attend the Zoom on time. Second, all participants are expected to turn on the camera throughout the series of events and use the virtual background provided by MENEFESTO's commit. Third, all participants are expected to rename their names on Zoom with the following provisions: participants underscore name. Fourth, all participants are expected to wear neat and polite clothing and be in a conducive place so that their concentration is not disturbed. Fifth, all participants are prohibited from eating in the Zoom during the series of events.
Six, all participants are prohibited from smoking, using drugs, and being under the influence of alcohol while participating in the series of events. 7. All participants must turn off the microphone while attending the webinar. 8. If participants want to ask a question, they must first raise their hand, then wait for their name to be called to turn on the microphone and ask their question. If participants are unable to turn on the microphone, you may ask the question through the chat box with the following provision: name, strip, question. 9. Before leaving the Zoom, participants are expected to fill in the evaluation form, which will be given by the committee in chat box as a confirmation of participant attendance, and to claim participant e-certificate. The evaluation form will be closed after 1 hour. And 10 participants must follow all webinar rules throughout the webinar.
Okay, that's the rules.
Yes.
Okay, before that, let me introduce our moderator first. Please welcome Mr. Chris Petra Agung, SAK MSc. Mr. Chris Petra successfully complete master degree in Global Strategy and Innovation Management at University of Leeds, UK. Has involved in various community membership, voluntary, and humanitarian activities. And Mr. Chris has interest in green issues, including food waste, house waste, and circular economy. To Mr. Chris Petra, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for Andin and JJ. Can you all hear my voice? Could you please hear? Can you hear my voice?
Your voice is clear, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So, thank you for the opportunity. It is with a great honor for me to be a part of this morning's webinar. We are going to have an outstanding figure who contributes to our environment for the last few years. She is a co-founder and CEO of Garda Pangan, founder and CEO of Starside Education, co-founder and CEO of Alang Alang Zero Waste Store, market development consultant for promoting rural income through support for market in agriculture, and she also works as an education facilitator of Gerakan Indonesia Mengajar. She has a full passion in social and environment, and I cannot wait to meet her. We cannot wait to meet her through this Zoom. Please welcome the one and only Miss Eva Baktia.
Hello, Mr. Chris. How are you?
Hi. Now I can see your face. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for being able to be here with us this morning and to share a couple or maybe a lot of things about environment, about household waste, and anything you can share with us. Uh, how long have you been having this interest of green and household waste, Miss Eva?
We first established Garda Pangan in 2017, so I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. Were you with some of your friends or family members or any other people of the same interests?
In Garda Pangan?
Yes.
Yes, Garda Pangan was co-founded by 3 people, including me. 2 of them are my friends.
Okay. It is very good to hear that there are some people working together towards the same notable issues. And without any further ado, please welcome Miss Eva. The screen is yours.
Okay. All right, let me share my screen first. Okay. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor for me to be able to meet you all virtually. Thank you, Pak Chris Petra, for introducing me. My name is Eva. I'm founder and CEO of Garda Pangan. And today I'm going to share about what we have been doing in Garda Pangan as a social enterprise, working on environmental issue at the grassroots level, which is about food loss and waste issue. Wait. Okay, so let's start from the background. Food loss and waste in Indonesia is a serious problem, but it's not as much discussed and addressed like other type of waste, such as plastic waste, for example. And maybe not many of us are even aware that Indonesia is actually one of the biggest food loss and waste producer among G20 countries. This is the data from 2021. So last year, we were in the 3rd position of the largest food waster among G20 countries. But the latest data from this year, we're actually coming back to the 2nd position. So it's not a good look for us. All right, so this is the composition of our waste in Indonesia. So unlike what many of us predicts, it's not plastic waste that makes up the biggest composition of waste in our country. Actually, it's food loss and waste, which is 40%. So I think it's time for us to pay more attention to this issue. And this is the background of why food loss and waste issue is such an important problem. Because the first one, it have a tremendous negative impacts in many sectors. In economic sector, it generates 213 until 551 billion per year economic loss. So it is equal to 4 until 5% Indonesia's GDP. So it's a huge number. And then in terms of its serious environmental impact, our food loss and waste generates 1,702 million tons of CO2 greenhouse gas. So it's contributing to 7 until 8% of emissions that exacerbates the climate crisis for sure. Maybe if you remember in 2005, concentrated methane from organic waste even triggered a catastrophic explosion in one of the landfill in West Java. So it exploded and burying a village with 143 fatalities. But of course, what hits me the most is that food loss and waste is also an irony, as on the other side, 19.4 million of people in Indonesia, they still struggle for food every day. They still go to bed hungry, and millions of Indonesian people suffer from malnutrition and stunting. So it's a huge problem as well. So what came to my mind was why don't we bridge the gap between, those with food surplus and those who need them the most? Why Minute if we can feed people in need? And that's when we came up with Garda Pangan, which is a social enterprise with two main goals: food loss and waste eradications, but also at the same time hunger relief. So here's what our organization looks like. It is quite unique, as at one side we work as a food bank whose main purpose is to serve the people while reducing food loss and waste. But then in order to have a sustainable and independent funding to run the food bank, we also have a couple of business units. They are still all related to food loss and waste reduction, but all profits generated would be used to, again, to provide the operational funding. So here are some of our activities working on food loss and waste issue. First is what we call as a food rescue. So it literally means rescuing surplus food so that they don't end up as waste. So what we do is basically tackling the food loss and waste issue from its biggest source. And one of them is hospitality industries and food businesses. So the way we work is by having a partnership with, restaurants, hotels, cafe, retailers, and so on. And unfortunately, food waste is still considered as a necessary evil in this sector, meaning that producing food waste is considered as inevitable process in their production. And that is why generally wasting food is considered as the easiest, the cheapest, and the fastest option to get rid of the surplus food, even though most of the time they are still safe and wholesome food. So the way we work is we pick up their unsold foods. We call it surplus food that is still in a perfectly edible conditions. And then we distribute them instead to those who are food insecure. We pick up the food on the arranged schedule. We run the quality check, we sort and pack them if necessary, and send them right away to people in need. And then not only picking up food from businesses, we also rescue the food from big events like weddings, conference, festivals, parties, celebrations, you name it, that used to involve huge amount of food. So in this case, we also have a partnership with wedding organizers and caterer providers. So basically, people can request Garda Pangan to pick up the surplus food from their events. And believe it or not, we used to rescue up to 500 portions of food from one single lavish wedding in Surabaya. And next, this is what we call gleaning. Gleaning is gathering leftover fruits and vegetables or other produce to tackle the food loss from the farmer's field. We call it gleaning, but it's basically the same as another food rescue, only we're rescuing them directly on the farmer's field. And this usually happens on peak harvest season, where commodity prices plunge significantly that even the selling price would not cover the harvesting cost. So farmers tend to choose to leave the produce rotting on the field without harvesting them. So in this picture, for instance, is when we were gleaning the cabbage in Jember, East Java, because the price plunged from in normal situation, the price is 3,000 until 4,000 per kilograms. But on the peak harvest seasons, it becomes only 150 rupiah per kilogram. So it's crazy, eh? So farmers chose to not harvest the cabbage. So that's what we pick up with the volunteers on the farmer's field, and we distribute them to those who are in need. And of course, in addition to rescuing food and produce, we realize that it is also very important to spread the awareness about food loss and waste issue and sustainable consumption as much as individuals. So we actively roll out creative campaign, either offline or online through social media, We usually provide useful and practical tips in reducing food waste that you can do in your household. You can also follow our social media account in our Instagram @gardapangan. And this is another thing that we do is we provide a sustainable and responsible food waste management service. So this is mostly for big scale companies that used to, they used to hire a vendor actually to destroy a huge amount of foods. It's near expired foods that's being returned from the distributors. So what we do is basically offering them a new approach that, instead of destroying food, you can donate it to Gardapangan and we can make the most out of the food, distributing them safely to people in needs in timely manner. And we also provide food waste workshops, educations, consultancy service to schools, offices, companies, and communities. And then our next business line is ugly produce business. So what we call as ugly is the produce that is, it's a little bit wrinkled, maybe undersized or oddly shaped, like the carrot here. There may be slightly blemished or near expired. So these types of produce are not, appealing, and they usually end up as waste actually. While we believe that they are as tasty, as helpful, and as nutritious. In fact, 40% of the whole produce never really reach the consumers. So this is the perfect example of how our consumption pattern actually goes a long way. We might not realize that our habit of, we always want to buy a perfect, beautiful, shiny fruits and vegetables. But that kind of consumption pattern can actually be harmful to our planet. So we work with the fruit distributors and farmers group by giving their unsold ugly produce a second chance. We process the produce into a lot of products, which is healthy snacks like cold pressed juice, dried fruits, jams, ice cream, kimchi, and so on. And lastly, this is what we do with the organic scrap. So if we rescue the food that is still edible, its surplus food is still edible. So what we do with the organic scrap is we turn them into the animal feed using a bioconversion method, which is using a black shoulder fly, or I think some people call it maggot. And then lastly, what we do is policy advocacy, because in Indonesia, the big challenge is we don't have any supporting rules and regulations about food loss and waste reduction, while actually a lot of best practices in other countries has shown that the existence of clear supporting policies would actually enhance the donation rate that eventually will reduce the amount of our food loss and waste. So Gardapangan actively participate in advocating to government to publish supporting policies. Last month, I think on World Food Day, I published a policy brief about comprehensive regulations on food loss and waste reductions that should be prioritized and implemented in Indonesia. This is our beneficiaries, or the people who received the food that is distributed by Gardapangan. There are 155 direct beneficiaries locations all over Surabaya. Each one of them has been carefully assessed and surveyed and thoughtfully selected based on our target criteria, such as poor families, disabled, homeless, elderly persons, shelter, foster care, and so on. And here is our quantitative impact. We have rescued 407,000 portions of food, or equal with 110 tons of potential food waste, and we distribute them to 26,000 plus beneficiaries and still counting. All right, let's moving on what we can do as individual to reduce our food waste in our household as the theme of the webinar. So this is a food recovery hierarchy. It is basically, it shows us the order of the priority on how best to sustainably consume our food and keeping it from ending up in our landfills. So as you can see here, the most favorable actions is the one at the top, is to surely to reduce food waste from the very beginning, right? So avoid producing food waste whenever possible. And there are a lot of simple and practical ways that we can do at home. And I'll give some example later. But after the source reductions, should you still have any left over, based on the chart, the next priority is to donate the edible food to the people first. So it can serve its initial purpose to feed human. Okay, so you can share it to your family, to your neighbors, or to the ones in need around you. And once the food is no more edible, the next priority is to use it for animal feeds, and then industrial uses like biogas and so on, and lastly to compost bin. And the very least thing that we avoid is to the food waste going to landfill or incinerated. And here are some practical ways that we all can do in our home. The first one is food waste audit. It is something that I highly suggest you all to do. It is basically keeping track on what type of food that you waste, how much the food that you waste, and why you waste it. So by doing it, we begin to, we can better understand and notice where and how much food that we waste and can start doing something about it. So you can start tracking it for a week, for example, and maybe you can find out that maybe, for example, for me, the type of waste that I produce the most is actually the rice. So maybe there is something wrong with the way I cook the rice. Maybe it's too much or something. So I can take decisions to reduce the food waste in the future. So food waste audit is very important as the very first step that you can do. And then I also suggest to practice mindful buying. Only buy things that you really need. It is very helpful, to create a shopping list and stick to it. Research also suggests that it is better to actually buy less, but more frequent rather than buying in bulk, because it tends to make us easier to forget, all items stacked in our kitchen and our pantry. So maybe one day you will find out that, oh no, it turns out that I have a milk that has been expired 1 week ago, something like that. If we stack a lot of foods in our pantry or in our fridge, it simply makes us easier to forget all the items that we buy. And then the next tips is, there are actually a lot of a type of food that we usually waste, but it can actually be reused and repurposed into other dishes. So in this picture, for example, I think we used to throw away, the broccoli stem, while it is actually as nutritious and delicious as the broccoli flower. And we can turn it into delicious, crispy, like this one. And then eggshells. For those of you who loves baking, eggshells can actually be turned into organic fertilizers. And then leftover rice from last night, it can also be turned into fried rice. Leftover vegetables in the fridge maybe can be turned into chapchai or so on. You just have to be creative about it. And then the same approach, I guess, can be applied if you have any overripe fruits that might not look pretty. So for example, these bananas, I think the black spots makes it, not very appealing for us to eat it. But once you turn it into delicious dish, you can avoid this banana being thrown away. You can also start doing what we call as regrow from any herbs in your kitchen. For example, the leeks, just put it in the water, and it can, it can continue producing another leeks for a couple of weeks ahead. Maybe I guess after 1 or 2 weeks, if you want to transfer it to the soil, you can do that. But basically you can get some extra produce only by sticking it to the water. If you have any coffee grounds, instead of just waste it away, you can use it as a scrub for your body. And our fridge arrangement, although it looks very simple, it actually can also contribute in either expanding or reducing the shelf life of the food that we store in it. So if you can see at the left image is a massive fridge. I guess it's very hard to find, the food that we need. And because it's very messy, the lack of air circulations can actually make the shelf life becomes shorter. So if you compare it with the organized fridge at the right, the air can circulate, and eventually it makes the shelf life becomes much longer. And if you have organized fridge, you can also see everything clearly. So visually, you can find out, oh, I have a carrot that I have to, I have to consume in this 1 or 2 days, or I have a milk, or I have some apples that I have to eat. It doesn't happen if you have a massive fridge, right? And there's also a simple guideline is to avoid, to separate the fruits and the vegetables in different compartments. So that's actually the reasons why in our fridge there are, the compartment usually at the below for the fruits and vegetables, because when the fruits are ripening, they actually produce a hormone. It's called ethylene, that will accelerate the rates of ripening of other vegetables around it. So it's better to separate the fruits and vegetables in our fridge. And of course, the very least thing that we can do is to finish our food. It's the simplest thing that you can do. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can always feed your leftover to feed the animal or your pet. And then you can also start composting. Home composting is very easy, actually. And as a bonus, you can get fertilizers for you, for your garden. And also meal prep or meal preparation. So start planning our meal. So you can buy and prepare the ingredients just in the right amount. So for example, I used to do the meal prep for the next 5 or 7 days. So I make a shopping list, and then I buy all the ingredients only for that list, and I prepare all the food in. So then I can handle the food waste produced simultaneously. So I don't have to, I don't have to work with every food waste that I produce every time I cook the food. So it makes it easier to manage our food waste, and it's also very good for our, meal nutritions as well. And then when we eat outside, in either in restaurants or in food stall or warung as we call it, request the portion based on the amount that you think you can finish, because I believe we all have different portion of food that we can eat. Some people can only eat very small amount of food, but some people eat much more food. So if you are the type of people who only can eat small amount of food, or for example, you just had your lunch or dinner, what you can do is you can talk to the waiter or waitress and request your portion. And then lastly, I also suggest to try you grow your own food, as it can help us changing our perspective and relationship with our food. So if you start growing a chili, for example, you will find out that just to get tiny piece of chili, you have to wait for. You have to really nurture it, take care of it. So if you eat the food that you produce on your own, I think you will develop a different sense of perspective and relationship to the food. And I believe that you will not waste it away easily. I think that's all from me, Pak Chris Agung, and I think we can always discuss in Q&A session for any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Eva. The presentation is definitely eye-opening, and it also reminds us that fighting food waste can also be started by very simple steps, very easy steps, but high impact. Now I'm going to let any participants, those who want to ask some questions, any questions relating to household waste, food waste, you may raise your hand. Anyone? Is there any questions from our committee members and hosts?
I see there are two people raising their hands, Pak Chris.
Anisha, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, this time's yours.
Okay, I want to ask to Miss Eva Bahtiar about the food waste managing. What's your point of view about the food, about managing food that can be fermented, that food that easily rip and can be fermented? Is that one of the way to preventing the household waste?
Okay.
That's my question.
Okay.
Thank you, Anissa. Miss Eva, you can answer the question, please.
Okay, so the question is fermenting food is also an acceptable way to prevent the food waste, right? I believe so. I think food fermentations is one of the method of food preservations that I think we have since from our ancestors era, right? So it is, yeah, it is acceptable. If you have any leftover fruits or vegetables, it is just simply too much, and you can consume it in a couple of days. You can always ferment it and turn it into different other foods or beverage. Yeah, it's very acceptable method.
Okay.
Thank
Next
you.
one. Thank you so much, Miss Eva. Next one, we have Henogi.
Yes, hello.
Okay.
So I have a question to Ms. Eva Bhaktia. First of all, thank you for your insightful presentation. That is an eye-opening materials. And my question is how to overcome the desire to buy food that only looks delicious, but we are not sure to eat it. Because, you know, sometimes when I go to the cafe, I look some food that, wow, this is really delicious. And when I buy it, I don't like it and it become a waste.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, can I answer now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, as I mentioned before, impulsive buying is actually one of the factor that makes us throw a lot of edible food, and it's such a waste. So what I can suggest is, as I said before, make a shopping list. So you list everything, every items that you need, and then stick to the list when you did the shopping. Don't be tempted with a lot of, like discounts or something that you don't really need actually. And there's actually a research that says that discounted items in the malls or supermarkets are actually one of the factor that makes us throw a lot of food. So yeah, I think making a shopping list and then stick to it, and I think just practice like very mindful buying. Yeah, so only buy the things that you need. If you want to buy something, you can always think to yourself, is this really what I need? Or this is just something that I only want, but maybe not I need. Can I consume it in the next couple days? So not only good for the environment, it also will be good for your wallet as well.
Is there any other comments, Henogi? Is there any more questions?
No, it's already answered. Thank you, Ms. Eva Bhaktia.
You're welcome.
Adding to Henogi's question, I want to raise this issue regarding to all-you-can-eat restaurants that are highly increasing in the last few years, right?
Yeah.
And those restaurants have been doing some incredible promotions, working with banks, working with I don't know, some office maybe. So it has become much cheaper to afford a all-you-can-eat restaurant. But the point is that some people, or maybe lots of them, could not help themselves to behave when they were offered foods unlimitedly. So they just take anything that catch their attentions without any intention to eat them up. What is your suggestion regarding to this behavior?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with the all you can eat concept. what is wrong is, as you said before, is our behavior to take as much as we want and not be able to finish it. So I think some of the all-you-can-eat restaurants has started practicing some kind of fines, denda gitu ya.
Yeah. Fine.
If you cannot finish your food. And it turns out that the fines is actually like it's a huge
Amount,
it's a
yeah.
huge amount of money compared to the amount when you buy the food. So yeah, I think it's one of the strategy that can be applied. What is another strategy? Yeah, I think just take it one by one. I always I believe that it's better to take one portion of food, finish it, and then you can evaluate. If I'm still hungry, then I can always take or buy another portion of food, rather than just taking 2 or 3 portions of food at the same time and not being able to finish it, right? That's what we call lapar mata, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so better take one portion first, finish it, and then you can always ask yourself, if you're still hungry, you can always get another portion.
Another portion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is there any more questions from our participants? This is really an interesting discussion for us this morning. Kilau. No.
First of all, thank you,
Yes.
Ms. Fabanti, for your insightful presentation. I want to ask, one of the ways to prevent food waste is storing the food in a fridge. So I want to ask, is storing the food in our fridge is a better way to keep the nutrition of the food itself? Because as far as I know, the frozen food is not so good for our body. That's my question. Thank you.
You mean putting the food in the freezer is the freezer, not the chiller.
Healer, a freezer, not the freezer.
You mean the chiller or the freezer?
Both of them. Maybe.
Okay, so storing the food in either in the chiller or in the freezer are acceptable ways to store the food. I think it can also preserve its nutritions. But of course, freezer can preserve the food longer, but not all of the food can be frozen, of course. So you just have to, just adjust your food, food storage method based on the food that you want to store. Or am I answering your questions, or you mean different questions?
If you answer my question.
Okay.
Thank
Is
you.
that clear, Kilau?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear?
Yes, that's answer my question.
Okay, thank you so much, Kilau. Any more questions?
I think there's one in the chat room.
Let me check. Naftalia, let me read. If I want to start meal prep, what is the best method to cook and store the meal prep so I still can eat the food with the best condition? Wow, a very good initiative. What is your say about this, Miss Eva?
Yeah, very good question, Natalia. So there are actually a lot of meal preparation methods. The one that is common in, I think, in Western is because we have different kind of food, right? So in Western, like in US or something like that, they usually prepare the food until the end, like until it's ready to eat. So if it's chicken, it's fried or it's grilled or something like that, and then you put it in a container, and you store it in the fridge. And when it's the time to consume, or it's the meal time, you can just take it and heat it up in the microwave. So that's, I think it's very common in Western, but in Indonesia, I think you can just adjust it based on your needs. I myself, for example, I only process it until like halfway. So, for example, if I want to fry the chickens, it's already been marinated in spices and so on, and then I put it in Tupperware or containers. For the vegetables, I already cut it up, wash it, and then put in the container. So when it comes to cook, when it comes to mealtime, I just have to stir fry or fry it up, and it only takes like 5 or 10 minutes. That's what I think works for me. But you can always choose the best method for you. Just which one is you think fits you the most.
I agree with that, because some vegetables you can wash and put in the container and put in the fridge, and they can last for, let's say, a few days or a week. But there are some people who prefer to cook the food first and then put it in the container and then put it in the fridge. And when they want to eat for proportion, they try to reheat it on the microwave. So there are various varieties of options you can store the meal, right?
Right.
And we have Arthur. What obstacles do you often face in applying this knowledge to others? And what method do you use to knowledge others about the impact of household waste? So it's about influencing people on their awareness of the food waste. What obstacles do you have, Miss?
Yeah, as I said before, food loss and waste is something that is not sexy yet in Indonesia. I think we're still very focused on plastic waste and whatnot. But in influencing others about food waste, yeah, we use a lot of platforms like social media, and then any other educations and workshops. The challenge is, first one, it usually happens to the people with the middle and upper income class. Actually.
Okay.
So the people who thinks that they can afford the food, they tend to actually waste more food waste compared to the people from the lower economic class. People from the lower economic class will try to utilize as much as possible from the food that they have, right? Because they don't have a lot of money. But for the people who are medium income class, or even those who are very rich, they tend to feel like, I can buy this and that, and it's up to me if I'm going to finish the food or not. I buy it anyway with my own money, right? So the challenge is actually to those income class. Just because you can afford to buy the food doesn't mean you have the rights to throw it away, because again, food waste doesn't only affect you, it also affects as I mentioned before, our economic sector. It also affects the environmental sector. It produces methane. It contributes to climate crisis, and so on. So I think that's the challenge. Some people think that they can do whatever they want with their money.
Yeah, I think it's a good message for us too to be aware on this issue. No matter what our background is, be it in lower or middle or upper class of society, we have to be aware that the food waste is a real issue, and it is not only happening for any certain class of societies, but yeah, in every single class of societies, right?
Right.
Any other questions from our participants? If not, I want to ask the question to Miss Eva. So, Miss Eva, when I was pursuing my master's degree in the UK, I once visited a pay as you feel cafe. So this group of people were gathered and they try to provide those who are in need, usually homeless people, with food on a daily basis, usually for lunch. They have cook, so they cook the food, the full meal, and they also have breads and other canned meal who were taken from leftover food from supermarkets of restaurants or cafes. When the first time I came there, I was so surprised that uh, there was the sticker of best before that, and it has been already passed. So in the UK, they divided into use by and best before. I didn't find anything with sticker used by, but the things that I found was the best before date, and it has been already passed. And then I asked the officers, and they explained to me that actually the food that has labeled best before and they were already passed, it doesn't mean that they cannot be eaten. It just means that the nutrition has not becomes not optimal. But you can still be healthy by eating it. So, and then I was okay. I come from a country with lower awareness on this. We only use expiry date, only one single terminology. But what I want to confirm is that true that there are some foods, even though already past the expiry, that we can still eat, but with less nutrition in that?
Yeah, this is a very good question, Pak Chris. So there are actually dual labeling date system that is applied globally. The first one is that indicates the safety, which is shown by the expired by or used by, which means the very last day that is safe for you to consume the food, right? And then there is also best before date. So yeah, so best before date. So if the food, if it's already passing the date, as you said before, it doesn't mean that the food is no more edible. It just means that maybe there's a slight change in the texture and the taste or in the quality, basically. So that's what applied globally to dual labeling date. So the safety dates is actually made for the type of food that is very, that's very vulnerable, like red meat, milk, for example, that if you eat past after the date, it can be harmful for you. So it's about the safety. And the kind of food that usually applies best before date is usually the canned food, any snacks, biscuits, and crackers, and so on. But what I found in Indonesia is we have the regulations in BPOM that says that we actually applies, we call it kadaluarsa, right?
Yeah.
But the definition of kadaluarsa is actually the best before date. So in Indonesia, we don't have expiration actually. It's all best before date. But somehow the producers, the manufacturers, they put expired date, and I think some of them use best before date. So there are, a slight misconception and also a lack of clear instructions on labeling date. And that is also something that I discussed in my policy brief, which is something that we have to evaluate. So in Indonesia actually doesn't know about expirations. They only know about best before, but somehow the manufacturers put, whatever they think is true on their product label. Yeah, so that's the reality in Indonesia. But regarding your question, is it safe to eat best before the food that passed best before that? The answer is yes.
Okay.
Actually, Gadapan volunteers, because we have to sort the food, right? And one of the sorting method is actually to taste it randomly. So we ate a lot of food that is way past the best before that, and we are all still alive right now. Because because one of the method of the dates that they put on the label is usually they only put it like exactly 1 year or 2 years after the productions, and the date that they put it there on the label is basically like the safest durations of the possible food handling. So they already calculate if the food is stored in the sunlight exposure, for example, or it's getting hot and very high moisture, for example. So they put it 1 year. But it actually can last like 3 or 4 years. But in average, Indonesia, they put 1 or 2 years. So it doesn't really, if you handle the food properly, put it in the fridge, put it in the, without direct exposure from the sunlight, it can actually last way, way longer than that. You just have to really taste it. It's okay to taste it actually with our sense. So as long as it's still, it doesn't have any, fungus, the color doesn't change so much, there is no smell, the smell that can indicate the fungus or something like that, and the taste doesn't change so much, it's actually still safe to eat those food.
Thank you so much for the answer. Now it becomes clear. And thank you so much for giving us such an informative and eye-opening presentation. Unfortunately, our Q&A session has ended. I feel thankful for your participation, Ms. Eva Baktiar. This issue has been a quiet debating, and we absolutely have not solved this issue, but you and your team were working very hard to work on this issue, and now you don't mind sharing about these issues to us. And so once again, thank you so much, Ms. Eva. And for the next step, may I refer this to the hosts, please, JJ and Andin?
Ngomong. Now we're gonna do a wording session with our moderator.
Good morning. Excuse me. Please allow me to take a picture for documentation purposes. I will now take a picture on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, and from the committee, we have this certificate of appreciations presented to Ms. Eva Baktiar. Once again, we would like to say thank you for your participation and for your contribution as a speaker with this webinar, Be Responsible Towards Household Waste. I hope this is not the last, would not be the last, right? Maybe in the next opportunity we can meet again, or maybe offline, right, Miss?
Sure. Thank you, Pak Chris, for the time. It's
Thank
such
you
an
so
honor
much.
for me. Good luck for the Manifesto events. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Miss.
Thank you to Mr. Chris Peta as moderator for guiding us through this webinar, and also to Mrs. Eva Bahtiar for this amazing sharing discussion.
Yes, that's right, Dean. Thank you for your cooperation, moderators and participants who have listened to the webinar from start to end. The webinar Be Responsible Toward Household Waste of Manifesto 2022 will end soon.
We would like also thank our sponsor once again. Hi Frozaholic, what kind of candy that makes you cool? The answer is Frost candy. Whatever your moment, always dibikin cool aja with Frost. Are you a student? Are you looking for MKM internship? Come join Starship Star Internship. Form Astra Credit Companies. Certified internship programs that have a final project related to the improvement department for 5 months. For those of you who want to join Starship, you will have a big opportunity to able to join the Astra Credit training. Come on, register yourself through the web career at career.act.co.id.
Okay, thank you, Andin. But before we end today's webinar session, we will have a special magic show that will be performed by our special guest star, yes, Din?
Yes, that's
to
right.
entertain your guys after this serious webinar session.
Okay, without lingering any longer, please welcome Zidan.
Hello, can anyone hear my voice? Anyone can? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming to Manifesto. It's great to be here. It's great to be able to perform in this place because the last time I performed, it was offline about 3 years ago, I believe. But this is my first time perform in another situation. But for the next several minutes, I hope you will entertain by magic show. Probably several of you already see a magic show, but in TV or in social media. But right now, I will show you live, and probably several of you will experience the magic. Okay, that has something to do with playing card. Let me adjust my camera. Okay, there you go. Okay, so let's start the trick. Okay, I'll be honest to you that probably several of you will say that this is a trick card. No, it's not. I should honest to you that this is an ordinary card. Okay, even I buy this in, what should I call it? Warung, probably, yeah. I buy this in Warung. Okay, you can see this is what is called to be a new deck order. Okay, you can see the order are the ace to king, the ace to king. Okay, you can see it yourself. This is what is called to new deck order. Okay, so don't forget that wherever you play a card, you must shuffle the cards. Okay, make sure that you mix the card, because if you don't, you can control. Anyone can control the card because you know the position of the card. Okay, you can, if you remember that the top card is the ace and the bottom one is the ace. So if you shuffle like this, Now this is known as an Asian shuffle, okay? Because a lot of people in Indonesia, or probably several of you, will shuffle the card like this. This is what is called to be the Asian shuffle, okay? Now, in America, in Las Vegas, you will see someone shuffle like this. This is called a riding shuffle, okay? It's the same thing, but in the different style, right? And a lot of people can shuffle like this. This is called a ritual shuffle, okay? When you do something like that, okay? Now, I think this is the best shuffle. Why? Because if you shuffle this way, like the card are mixed, okay? Rather than doing something like this, it is much better if you shuffle this way, okay? Something like that, okay? Now, hopefully, if I would shuffle that way, the card are mixed, okay? The card are, you don't know any order of the card. Now, I don't know if you remember before, the top card is the ace of heart, the bottom card is the ace of spade. Even if you see really carefully, all of the card is still the same order. The ace to king, the ace to king, the ace to king, okay? And that's how magicians shuffle the cards. Okay, anyway, I'll be honest to you that I will shuffle this card very fair, okay? Even I will show you. Okay, so the card are mixed. You can really see that I didn't do anything tricky in here. The cards are really mixed, okay? Okay, nothing wrong with this. Okay, now here's the trick, okay? Here's the thing. I will cut the card like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, believe it or not, the top card is the ace. There they are, the first ace. Okay, you can see this is what is called to be, in Indonesia we call this tempe, as tempe, or in English we say it as the ace of diamond. Okay, this is the ace of diamond. If I snap like this, you can see it's changed into the ace of hearts. Okay, now watch really carefully. Watch really carefully. You can see my hand is empty. If I rub the card like this, you can see it's not changed yet, but if I do like that, it changed into the ace of spades. And the last ace was the ace of clubs. If I just rub like this, it changed to the ace of clubs. And that's how magician find the ace, okay? And that's all the 4 ace. Okay. Now, I think that is very fast. Let me slow it down. Okay. I will try it again. Okay. I will place the ace in the 4 different places. Okay. So you can really see the ace are in the middle of the deck. Okay. Even I will shuffle the cards. There we go. Sorry. Let me do that again. Now, the more sloppier I shuffle, I think the more mixed the card. So if I will do something like that, hopefully the ace is all lost inside the deck. I don't know anywhere in the deck where is the ace, okay? But for a year of practice, you can find the ace wherever they are, okay? Let me show you something. I am able to know where the ace, I think the ace was somewhere in there. There you go, the first ace, the ace of diamonds. The second ace, I think I will shuffle like that. The second ace, I will cut the card. Remember, I didn't do anything. I only cut the card somewhere in the middle of the deck, right there. And there is the second ace. The third ace is, let me just shuffle one more game. The third ace is 1, 2, 3. I think, yeah, right there. Okay. And the last ace, let me just see the deck. The last ace, okay. I think I know where the last ace. The last ace is right there. Oops, it's not the ace. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. I'm a magician anyway, because all I am doing is just doing like that, and it changed to ace of clubs. And that's how magicians find the cards. Okay. Now, well, honestly, what I'm doing right now is only showing myself how well I am, how good I am in finding the ace. Now, let me do it a different way. Okay. Now I will place the ace in 4 different places. You can really see that the ace, I placed the ace. There's the first ace, the second ace I place right there. The second ace I place right there. And the fourth ace I place right there. Okay. So there is no way I know where the ace. Okay, it's somewhere in the middle of the deck. Now, now I think I need a help from audience. Anyone want to join me in here? Okay, any participant? Any volunteer? Just raise your hand. It's all right. It's okay. Anyone? Okay, I see there is one person that raised one hand. Can you show yourself? Okay, Kilau, probably Kilau. Hello, Kilau. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Hello. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for coming to this show. Okay. Have you ever played a card? Have you ever played a playing card?
Yes, I have played before.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Now here's the thing. Okay. Now I will do like this. Okay. Wherever you want, say stop. Okay. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay. Please say stop wherever you want.
Stop.
Right there.
Yes.
You want to add more?
No.
No. Okay. Right there. That's the first one. Okay. For some reason you find the first ace. Okay. It's all right. Okay. Thank you very much. The second person, Anisha. Okay. You already raised your hand. Can you show yourself?
Okay.
Okay. The same thing as before. As I go like this, say stop wherever you want. Okay.
Okay.
Please stop wherever you want.
Stop.
Right there.
Can you just use the top one of the card?
No, you can.
Oh, okay. That one.
Is this one, or you want to add more?
That one.
That's one. Okay. There they are. The ace of the second ace. Okay.
Okay.
The third person will be Mr. Brian. Hello.
Hello,
Can you-
Zidan.
Yeah. Hello. The same thing as before. As I run to deck like this, say stop wherever you want, please.
Stop.
Right there.
Yes.
You want
And
to add
please
more?
shuffle again. And please shuffle again. And
Okay. Like this.
yes.
Okay. You want to say
Okay.
stop again?
Yes.
Okay. Say stop wherever you want.
Stop.
Right there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The third ace and the last ace. I need one more person to find the ace. One more person. Anyone? Just raise your hand. Okay, we have in here Caroline. Can you show yourself?
Yes.
Okay, for the last one, I make it differently. Okay, for the last one, I only use one hand. Okay, as I go like this, say stop wherever you want. Okay, is that clear?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, say stop wherever you want.
Stop.
Right there.
Yes.
Okay, and I hope the last card will be the ace of spades. There. Now, probably that will be the end of the trick. Okay, but I very amazed because all of you are able to find the four ace. But what I really amazed is not that. You can see that all of the card are red. As a matter of fact, this four card is a mark card. Mark card means I mark the card because I know, so I'm able to know where the card. You know why? Because if you see carefully in here, that this is all of these four cards is a different color. And that's why it's called magic. That's all from me. I am Zidan. Thank you very much and see you.
Wow, what an amazing performance by Zidan, right?
That's right.
It's very entertaining. Can you do a magic trick like that?
Of course I am.
Show me.
This empty.
Okay.
This empty. Don't it. This empty because it's here.
Very cheesy. Nice try, J.
Yeah, nice try. Okay. I will learn with Zidan.
Sadly, we are in the end of this webinar session. But before we end it, we're gonna do a documentation first with our staff. To the documentation team, you may take the lead.
Good morning, excuse me. I will lead the photo session for documentation purposes. To all attendees, please turn on your camera. I will now take a picture of each Zoom slide on the count of 3. Let's start from the first slide. 1, 2, 3. To the next slide. 1, 2, 3. And to the last slide. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the documentation team. Sadly, Dean, the webinar Be Responsible Towards Household Waste of MENEFESTO 2022 has come to an end. Once again, thank you to Mr. Chris for being our moderator today, Mr. Epa Bahtiar as our amazing speaker, Mr. Ignatius Brian as Miss Shannon Malena for the opening speech, and to all amazing participants for attending this webinar until the end. Last but not least, we would like to thank to all our sponsors, PT Imora Motor, Frost, PT Indomobil, Teachcast, Array, PT Indosemen, Tunggal Prakasa Tbk.
To become an agribusiness company that is healthy, productive, grows, and develop together with the community in a sustainable manner. PT PM 13. Hi, it's near the end of the year and there's more hype with electric and economical cars. This is perfect for those of you who want to change car. Even cooler is that Indomobil, as a leading automotive brand in company Indonesia, has a superior product, namely an electric car without a charger. Nissan Kicks e-Power, fun SUV. Forget the ordinary, live the extra.
It has been our pleasure as the master of ceremony for today Be Responsible Toward Household Waste webinar MENEFESTO 2022. And if you want to see our next agenda, please kindly check our website www.menefesto.online or follow our Instagram at MENEFESTO to get all update information about our MENEFESTO event.
We would also like to remind all of you to fill in the webinar evaluation form by scanning the QR code on the screen or through the link that our committee will share in the chat box as a confirmation of your attendance and to claim your e-certificate. This evaluation form will be closed after 1 hour, so don't forget to fill in the form before you leave the Zoom. We would also like to apologize for any and all mistakes we have made. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next time.
MENEFESTO 2022, think sustainable, act responsible. Bye guys!